Welcome back, everybody. We're waiting for those fireworks to go off. Another year passed, another year without an attack on La Redoute. This group did look to be motoring on about 20 kilometers ago. It's still strung out here, and Quick-Step have gone to work, but it's still a large group with 34.5 kilometers to go in the 104th Liege Bastogne Liege. Approaching the Côte de la Roche-au-Faucon. That'll come in around 15 kilometers time. Two classified hills still to go, the Roche-au-Faucon and then Saint-Nicolas. Jérôme Bonny, the rider from the French-speaking part of Belgium where we're having this race, is at the front of it. Riding for Wanty-Gobert, he's just a minute ahead of the chasing peloton now. Chasing peloton that's strung out, but we're still yet to see those big attacks. Two of the classified climbs left. Roche-au-Faucon's the next one. Doesn't come for another 15 kilometers, however. And again, if you're one of those riders who wants to make it hard for the likes of Alaphilippe and Valverde, time is running out. But, of course, you've still got two big attacks and ramps on which to attack. And if you're thinking of Vincenzo Nibali, next climb, Sean, is where he's had a go before. 2012, he went out on the attack. He was caught in the final kilometre by Maxim Glinski on the day. I wonder if he's thinking of the same launch pad.
Well, I think there's a lot of riders thinking of the launch pad, but you know, can you put the launch pad into motion? That is the question, because Quick-Step are pushing on big time here, but will they be capable of, you know, continuing? We can see more Quick-Step riders coming to the front, and the interesting one here is between the Côte de Redoute and the next one, Côte de Roche-au-Faucon, there's that almost 15 kilometers. That is the danger point, because if you knock down your pace, knock down your speed in the front of the peloton, there's many riders will try and go on the attack then. So it's a difficult one. You have to keep the pace quite high. That way you will stop those attacks from coming from the riders who have, you know, numbers here, and they will try and put riders up the road to make it difficult. But if Quick-Step can continue on setting the pace we can see there at the moment, but that is a difficult task because they're going at a fast rate.
Talking of all things difficult, that's not good news. Larry Warbasse is down, the champion of the United States, and Nathaniel Berhane, who came all the way from the Tour of the Alps just to ride this race. Good climber, former Eritrean champion. He's down and hurt. And you talked about the road furniture, Sean. I'm afraid it's claimed two victims there.
Yes, and we did see a moment ago our leader out in front, Monnier. He had to make a correction as he came into that corner. So it was one where, you know, we could see problems in the peloton, and here we have it, some riders going down, and you know, at this point in the race they are pushing on at such a rate. We can see here somebody just making the correction and taking some riders out.
Oh, and it was before they got to the bit of the road furniture there. He was just losing the back wheel. It's Larry Warbasse who's gone down, and he's taken Nathaniel Berhane with him. And of course, with that little mark there, it could have been so much worse for Berhane.
Yes, well, of course, when you arrive into that corner, you see the line you're going. It's the straw bale, and then you try and correct it. You go on the brakes a little bit. You're on the white line as well. And if you go a little bit too heavy on the brakes, well, then that's what happens. You can slide out, and I think that was the problem for the Aqua Blue rider.
Yeah, and Larry Warbasse and Aqua Blue, one of the teams on disc brakes as well. So maybe an example of the different bits of braking power as well going into corners there.
Too good.
Well, that was one thing that was suggested, wasn't it, when disc brakes came into the peloton? No, it's not a rough, a cut-and-dried example there, because they're going around a corner, and anybody, whether you're on caliper brakes or disc brakes, you can make a braking error there.
Yes.
But of course, disc brakes, the power arrives much quicker.
Yeah, well, it's known that the disc brakes are so good. If you go a little bit too heavy, well, then you're going to block your rear or possibly your front if you do that, and you're going to start sliding. So the disc brakes is something that you have to, you know, be light on them. They are very good, they're exceptionally good, and sometimes they can be too good if you get into a panic situation.
Marc Christian is going to be the next to be caught. The gap just 33 seconds from Bonny to the peloton chasing behind. Quickstep have just added another man into second wheel there. It's still Enric Mas, the Spaniard, controlling things at the front as he was on the last climb. But Max Schachmann, young German rider who had injury problems at the end of his first professional seasons last year, scored a maiden top 10 in a classic on Wednesday. He's just slotted into second place there, and he looked really strong in Flèche Wallonne. Quickstep suddenly have a train at the front.
Yes, well, they have riders here in reserve, and we can see also the other rider from Quickstep, Seri. He's also Peter Seri. He's a specialist in this final. That is the train that he is really performant on, and they are continuing on to set a strong pace. They have to now, because, as I said, this is the area, this is the part of the route where if they do knock down the pace, well, then they're going to be wide open to many attacks from different teams, different riders. So they have committed and they're continuing on with it.
By the way, in the car for them today, the very colourful Davide Bramati, Italian who's known for wearing his heart on his sleeve. He said before the race that everybody's motivated for the final challenge of the spring. Confidence and enthusiasm are flowing through the team. Flèche Wallonne was good. They said they're ready to let their legs do the talking again here, and this is what's left. Into the final 30 kilometres of Liege Bastogne Liege. 37 seconds behind the lead of the race. Just one rider leading the race at the moment. This is the next man to be caught, Marc Christian. Just over 10 kilometres now until the next climb, the penultimate of the classified climbs. It will be the Côte de la Rochefoucauld, and Marc Christian, part of an original 9-man breakaway. Man from the Isle of Man, riding for Aqua Blue, the Irish team, is going to be the next rider to be taken back by the peloton. Aqua Blue did well to get 2 riders into the breakaway today. They'll be disappointed that one of their leaders has just crashed, however, in Larry Warbasse. Was back up on his bike quick enough, as we see movement on the right hand side. Kwiatkowski just had the hand on the back there from Julien Alaphilippe. On the left hand side of Alaphilippe you can see Tim Wellens. I gather there was a bit of aggro in the Belgian press this week between Wellens and maybe Van Endert.
They sure were, and I think Max Sargent was trying to calm things in the past days. He said it was just a reaction after the finish from Wellens, and I can understand. Jelle van den Dert, he was on the front, and you start setting a pace on the Mur de Huy. It's a difficult one to make the pace, not alone to have to look around to see where your teammates are sitting, and it can go wrong for them. And I think he was thinking he was doing a good job, but then he probably realised that Wellens was a bit further off and decided to go, for his own glory. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But they are talking, and we did hear some of the pre-race interviews that they're going to play a number of riders in the team. So that seems to be understanding for today.
Yeah. 28% the gradient on the Mur de Huy. It's ridiculous. It gets to a point where the gradient is so difficult that it's almost impossible to keep looking after teammates when everybody's sprinting around you and there's movement. It's every man for themselves, isn't it, on there towards the end?
Yes, well, on the run into the end of Flèche Wallonne, the Mur de Huy, it's just hectic. It's more hectic than being in the sprint to the line in a normal, flat stage, and it's all a fight to get onto the climb. And if your teammates that you're working for cannot keep your wheel, that is, I think, the mistake from your leader. And if he's your protected man, he has to make sure that he can do that. But sometimes that's a bit easier said than done, because there's so much pushing and so much fighting for position. But as you said, Rob, it's such a difficult one to have a look around, because when you get onto the Mur de Huy, the gradient is so difficult. You just can about focus on what's out front.
Well, there's Liege Bastogne to add into the equation for Lotto Soudal as well, and they've got a really strong team for these races. Another strong team who we talked about at the start, Gorka Izagirre at the front on the left-hand side for Bahrain Merida. Behind him, Giovanni Visconti there as well. There's a line of 4 riders now. Liege Bastogne, who we mentioned a moment ago, just on the left-hand side in the gutter there, trying to move up for Lotto with the red jersey on. Through the middle, Team Sunweb with Tom Dumoulin, winner of the Giro d'Italia last year. Hoping to try and defend his crowd, is looking after Michael Matthews. Rigoberto Urán is moving up as well for EF Drapac. 1.72 there for Aqua Blue Sport is the rider who was just caught a moment ago. That's Mark Christian. 55 in the blue jersey. We saw him working on the front of the group. For Quick-Step, Enric Mas is there as well. There's a BMC jersey on the right-hand side, but there are plenty of BMC jerseys at the front of the peloton as well now.
Yes, and we can see there's for Tunes, they're the protected man, of course, and we can see Simon Gerrans just a moment. He was riding in the front, keeping their leader in a real good position. We can see it's really pushing on here at the moment. There's a lot of into that corner just a moment ago. We could see there was a lot of competition for places.
Competition for places that had existed since this race first began back in 1892. It was started by the RC Paysan Club Liégeois. Léon Roy, a member of the club that organised that first race, was a Belgian. He was the very first winner. He actually went on to win the opening 3 editions of Liege Bastogne Liege. Opened to professionals 2 years later in 1894, and here we are in 2018. Who's going to be the winner of the 104th edition? This is Jérôme Bougny. If he were to win, it would be some story. It's not going to happen. He's been in the break all day long. He's enjoying his last few moments at the front of his home race. Goes through his own territory in the French-speaking part of Belgium here, the area known as Wallonia. 10 seconds is all he has on the group behind. It's been some ride by this man, hasn't it?
It has been a strong ride because he's been out there for a long time in the breakaway, and the way the peloton have been going in the last 15 plus kilometres to hold on, he's putting in a really strong ride. We did see he was doing well over 50 kilometres per hour a moment ago, and to be able to do that at this point in the race, taking into consideration the kilometres they've done, the amount of time they've been out in front, he's putting in a real strong performance.
Well, Eddy Merckx has won this race on 5 occasions. Moreno Argentin and Alejandro Valverde have each won on 4 occasions. Léon Roy, we just mentioned, won 3 times. Alphonse Schleppers won 3 times as well, as did Fred de Bruyne back in the 1950s. A record could be equalled today. If Valverde wins, he could join Eddy Merckx with 5-star Liège performances. Julien Alaphilippe, the other big favourite, could be France's first winner for 38 years. Bernard Hinault, in very different conditions to the beautiful sunny day we had today, was the last winner for that great cycling nation almost 4 decades ago now, back in 1980. 6 seconds for Bougny, who stretches out the last few metres of his ride. And I think that's the last shot we'll see of him from behind. He's about to be caught. One long line, 23 kilometres to go. We're approaching the penultimate climb of the day. We're approaching the part where Andy Schleck won this race 9 seasons back when he attacked on the Côte de la Rochefoucauld. We're approaching the part where Vincenzo Nibali had his previous on this hill. In 2012, he went solo on the descent from the climb, only to be caught in the final kilometre, and it's Nibali's team who's taken over from Quick-Step to ride at the front. Does the shark plan on biting? Giovanni Visconti at the front. And they're riding hard here. They are riding very hard, Bahrain Merida. .2 kilometres to go. And the Rochefoucauld is almost here. After that, Saint-Nicolas. And it's Gorka Izagirre switching turns with Giovanni Visconti, putting everybody right on the rivet now. The breakaway is done. It's gone for the day. It's all down to the big boys. And the first to put his hand up looks like being Vincenzo Nibali, as Enrico Gasparotto with him towards the front as well. They have options, and plenty of them. This is the Château du Monceau. But it's all happening on the road around it right now. We're approaching Liège, we're approaching Ans. We are not far away, just 20 kilometres up the road. And this a big area for the Italians back in the day. Italian immigration, a lot of it settled around here. Now Nibali, hiding a few wheels further back, at the front here, you have both Izaguirre brothers, Gasparotto, and at the front now, Visconti. Nibali is the man you just saw in front of Kwiatkowski. He might just come into shot. There he is. Right-hand side, about 15 to 20 wheels further back, Sean.
Yes, and a good position to be, because you can see the other favourites, how they're reacting, how they're looking, and the riders, they know each other so well. If you put a number of your teammates on the front, as Nibali has with his Bahrain Merida team, really turn up the pressure here, and then you can see who's feeling good, because they know, by looking at the riders, they know the way they're pedaling. They can see if some guys are starting to suffer a little bit, and Nibali, as we know, he can tactically read the race. He can just work it so well, and I think the position he's in that 15th position, it's a very good position for the moment.
Well, just had a spy of Jakob Fuglsang towards the back of the group now, as the foot of the Rochefoucauld is taken on by the peloton, and now we wait. Will there be any movement? Will there be any attacks on this penultimate of the climbs here today? Let's look straight away to see who's in trouble. That's going to be just as key. Simon Geske gone out the back. 91 here is Rafał Majka right at the back as well. Oh, Warren Barguil. Warren Barguil nowhere near the front. He's out the way. Second wheel there for Team Sky is Michał Kwiatkowski. Back in this race, Rochefoucauld, since 2008. And this is Gorka Izaguirre. Giovanni Visconti has peeled off. You can just see Gasparotto behind. And now, who does what? Gorka Izaguirre has done. That's exactly what he's telling his team on the radio. And it opens up to possibilities for attacks here, Sean.
Yes, it does open up for attacks, but is there anybody capable of attacking? Here we go.
And we've got movement. We have movement from Quickstep. Is this Philippe Gilbert?
Yes.
Certainly looks like it should be Philippe Gilbert. Now going away. Quickstep cleverly sit at the front. And who is going to chase? Gilbert, the former world champion, having a go. Tom Dumoulin is going to try and get involved behind for Team Sunweb. As a rider chasing as well from EF Drapac. Kwiatkowski gets in the way too. Wellens is there now. Gilbert not exactly opening up too much. No, look at this on the left-hand side. Sergio Luis Henao, the Colombian champion. Rigoberto Urán is there, and Henao is advancing at a rate of knots here. So Gilbert on the front, and now on his wheel, and it's Tom Dumoulin who's being forced to chase it. So now he's going to carry on riding. Gilbert, I don't think, can hold the wheel here. Gilbert can't hold the wheel, Sean.
No, I think that was the final throw of the dice for Philippe Gilbert. He did try there, and it was a good move, because with Henao coming across, if you've got the legs there, just follow him. But Gilbert not able to follow him. We can see he's just having difficulty keeping it going.
Well, there's Mike Woods on the left-hand side in the pink jersey. A few Movistar riders slipping and sliding. Valverde not towards the front just at the moment. None of his teammates there either, which is very interesting indeed. Now Bob Jungels is the man that's been sent up the road to chase for Quickstep. Woods is in third wheel for EF Drapac, the Canadian rider, who this year, by the way, is targeting general classification at the Giro d'Italia. So you'd think that his form is approaching the point it needs to be at. There's movement from behind from Astana as well. Finally, Valverde and Movistar get involved behind. And the rider from Astana looks like it could be Fuglsang. I think it is Jakob Fuglsang. It is Jakob Fuglsang, fourth wheel. So Bob Jungels, the man in the Luxembourg flag at the front. In the pink jersey behind you have Mike Woods. This is Valverde. He's with Van Endert behind. And you could see Romain Bardet is there as well. Michael Matthews hanging about. Vincenzo Nibali a long way down. Jack Haig there as well, yes, for Mitchelton Scott. He's been going really well in the last couple of weeks.
Yes, he's the one who's just setting the pace on the front of that group for Mitchell and Scott. We can see Roman Kluizinger is also there. Yeah, an interesting one here. Quickstep, they're definitely trying to play the numbers here and make it a bit difficult for everybody at the moment. It looked like they were going to maybe control the situation, but it's so difficult to do here in this final 25-30 kilometres. As we mentioned, between the climbs there's a big distance, so Gilbert first of all tried. Now we have Jungels who is setting the pace, but all back together once again.
Oh, we just saw a shot towards the back there of Vincenzo Nibali. Geraint Thomas was struggling towards the back of that group. I think he's just lost contact with the back of it. In fact, Kreuziger right there at the back. And this is the front of the race now, with Bob Jungels having one more climb to go. Rochefoucauld is done for the day. 161 there for Diamond Data is Tom Jelte Slagden. He's the man alongside Michael Matthews and Geraint Thomas, who's being dropped. chance to get in on the back, but if you're not fresh enough with Saint-Nicolas still to come and then Ons, it's going to be a very difficult ask. So the race has finally broken open. It's taken a long time to come, but Bob Jongels out on his own for the moment, and a lot of people hesitating as to who's going to chase on the descent. Jongels has continued to ride. Behind, they're taking a while to get organised. Now Valverde looks around. Who does it? And this is dangerous, Sean.
Yes, well, this is dangerous, and Jongels, if you allow him to take 15-20 seconds, well, then he's a one who can go a long ways, and looking very impressive there on the climb. Looked like he was about to be caught as we come over the top of the climb there, but from our camera angle it looked like that, you know, the other was almost in his wheel, but still he had a little bit of an advantage and is pushing on.
This is key because Alejandro Valverde didn't want to wait too much longer. He has no teammates with him really. Certainly not towards the front there. He went out in pursuit. He's been joined by what I think is Tom Dumoulin. We'll have to get a closer look at that. And Bob Jongels out there on his own. Quick-Step still have Alaphilippe towards the back of the group. Vincenzo Nibali was there as well. Woods, Wellens, Enau, Fulsang in the group as well. There are a lot of big names there. This is Bauke Mollema. And what happens here? Philippe Gilbert towards the back of this group. This looks like the second group on the road to me.
Yes, it is, I think.
Vincenzo Nibali there now.
Dumoulin.
Top group chasing Bob Jongels. Dumoulin, Valverde. That looks like Jack Haig on the left hand side. Gasparotto is in here for Bahrain Merida. Vincenzo Nibali is in the next group. He's in group 3. Pozzovivo's in this group. Dan Martin has made this group as well, which is looking good. And that's Sam Oman as well for Team Sunweb. Romain Bardet is the man looking around. Just behind him you can see in the turquoise jersey the rider from Denmark and from Astana, Jakob Fulsang. At the back for Quick-Step is Julien Alaphilippe. And there are riders trying to make contact. Another couple of Quick-Step riders here.
Yes, and you can see up front with the favourites that are up there in that leading group as they're chasing the sole leader out on the road. They're looking at each other, and they're going to be attacks here. And we can see Wellens, you know, just seizing the opportunity here. This is the moment when there's a little bit of hesitation. Go for it.
Yep, 20 seconds now for Jongels. Quick-Step in a great position, by the way, because sitting on the wheel, he's going to do no work for the minute. Julien Alaphilippe is getting a ride up to the front of the race. Now, you say he's going to do no work. He shouldn't be doing any work. He's looking around. He's still letting Wellens do it. Valverde's just behind him, and Dan Martin is looking much fresher and much better than we've seen him in the last few weeks.
Yes, we can see there he's just on the rear of this group, and looking to be maybe struggling a little bit here, but with the racing has been going on over the last number of kilometers, not surprised, because we see the way the peloton split there, and a lot of the big names, you know, getting caught out, being in that second group, and a little bit of rivalry here, and that's the reason we see more riders getting back in here to the group of favourites.
Wellens first wheel, third wheel is Van Endert. How do they react together? There are riders coming back in all the time. Alaphilippe sits second wheel. 20 seconds for Bob Jongels at the front of this race. And Bob Jongels, who wasn't down here as the protected rider, but with Quick-Step we've seen it all spring, haven't we? They have so many different options, so many different leaders. He's extended his advantage to 22 seconds. 25 years of age now, Bob Jongels, as we see Tom Dumoulin, Domenico Pozzovivo, Dylan turns in this group as well. 93 for Bora Hansgrohe is Davide Formolo, who was up there 12 months ago, let's not forget. No Vincenzo Nibali in this group. There is Alejandro Valverde, and there certainly is the winner on Wednesday. Omnipresent, Julien Alaphilippe, second wheel, but he's in a great position with his teammate up the road. Bardet, fourth wheel. Kreuziger there. This is the leader. This is the leader, and I know you're a big fan of Bob Jongels, Sean Kelly. You've enjoyed, I think, his development over the last couple of years at the Giro d'Italia. This would be some story. Yes,
well, we've seen him in the past number of years, the way he is developing, and you know what a rider he is. He's a big, strong roller classics rider, but in the Giro last year he was amazing the way he was climbing, and I think he was a big help to Dumoulin in some of the stages where they were a little bit, you know, dropped off the bigger favourites, the better climbers, and he was the one who was riding with Dumoulin, and I think saved him a lot of time. And here he is out in front, and you know, he's pushing on 18 seconds at the moment, and again a little bit of, you know, downtime here, but 16.4 with what we've got to climb. It's always difficult when you have to ride so fast and so hard out front. When you arrive to the next climb, well, then it's going to be difficult to really keep it going.
All depends on the hesitation behind the tactical games, who does what. It's gone up to 24 seconds now, and of course I think he'll be happy to slow things down. Will Julien Alaphilippe? He's going to chase these attacks. It's Martin who's going to go again. Tim Wellens is going to chase. 26 seconds for Bob Jungels. By the way, he's already ridden Liege Bastogne Liege twice. He was 62nd in 2013, 82nd 3 years ago. So Bob Jungels, who's already helped Gilbert win Amstel, thinks he could win in the Ardennes himself, has 25 seconds on the chasers. And we just mentioned the hesitation. Once again, a few riders realising it was too much. And this is where the experience for the likes of Valverde and company comes into play, doesn't it? Valverde's already won it 4 times. He's not the man who has to chase. He can say, hang on guys, my name's up there in lights already, you guys chase.
Yes, well, it is it becomes a very tactical situation when you have a sole rider out in front, and Alaphilippe, of course, he's just going to, you know, mark the other big favourites, and maybe the riders are going to, you know, take the opportunity here and try and go in the attack. But we can see all back together again, a little bit of a slowdown. This is going to play in the hands of Bob Jungels because he's going to pull out his advantage more.
Bob Jungels from Luxembourg, movement, and it is the man himself. Alejandro Valverde is seeing that record flash away as it goes up to 28 seconds, the gap now, and he's going to chase on his own. As long as Quick Step can follow this could be very good for them, Sean.
Yes, and we can see here it's Wellens who is following, and then Alaphilippe has to react here because he knows this is a danger one, and immediately he reacts and tries to get onto the wheel of Wellens.
Alaphilippe third wheel there. You see him in the navy blue. Bora Hansgrohe looking good with Formolo here. He's in the green-white. Jakob Fuglsang looking strong again. Woods is there as well. A couple of riders from Mitchelton Scott, Haig and Kreuziger. The gap's up to 30 seconds with all this messing about behind. Let's not forget that Bob Jungels, in the lead of this race for Quick Step, looking for their 27th victory of the season, still has the Côte de Saint-Nicolas to come, and that comes in 10 kilometres time. He also still has the climb to Anse. There's a long, long way to go in terms of terrain, even if the kilometres are ticking away. I think we're looking at Group 3 on the road now, Sean.
Yes, and we can see here, you know, they're going at a much slower rate, and it's going to be an interesting one for Jungels because, as you said, there's a lot of tactic being played here, and you know, the attack by Dan Martin there with Wellens, then a slow down again, then Valverde, of course, but when you make the attack and you slow down for a little bit, well, then the seconds, you know, they add on to the rider in front, and Jungels, we can see the way he's just powering along here.
Well, he's ridden the Giro in the last couple of years. He's been best young rider both times. He changes the Giro for the Tour de France this year, by the way. White jersey in the Giro d'Italia a couple of times. Tour de France this year. Should work out for him, shouldn't it, if Julien Alaphilippe is going for stages and they're going to have Fernando Gaviria sprinting. Not too much pressure on this guy, but a chance to do something in July.
Yes, well, it will be interesting to see, you know, how we can manage in the Tour of France in the climbs there. But definitely, you know, he has an all-round talent, and he's just showing here, because to be in this position at the moment, when you look at the riders that were in difficulty on some of the climbs we've been over already, you know, world-class riders, and not able to follow, getting into difficulty, and here he is out in front and going over the 30 seconds.
Look at this again. There's a lot of looking. There's you chase, no you, after you sir, as Dan Martin, I think for the third time by my reckoning, decides that it's too much again. 35 seconds now. He darts in front. Tom Dumoulin comes, but he's not going to ride through and commit. Nobody's committing here, and this is playing right into Quick Step's hands.
Yes, and Philippe is getting a great ride here because he's not going to be concerned. He's his man out front, so perfect situation for him. And when we get to the next climb, I think anybody will attack, they will be covered by Philippe immediately. He will just mark them and sit on their wheel. And 38 seconds, 37 seconds at the moment for Jungels.
Astana looking to close things down. It hasn't happened for the Shark today. He's in Group 3, by the way. Haven't got a time gap to these guys yet. Other riders, well, there it is, that time gap, 1:20. They're out of the game, Sean, now. They are out of the game. I'll tell you that Team Sky with Geraint Thomas and Michal Kwiatkowski in this group, done as well. Their hopes lie and rest on Sergio Luis Henao, who's in the chasing group, but the chasing group is being distanced even more. 37 seconds from Bob Jungels, who's still got to take on Côte de Saint-Nicolas, who's still got to go on his own all the way to Anse, but it's looking better and better and better as they continue to hesitate. Look at this, almost 80 kilometers per hour down here.
Yes, it's definitely looking better on the last shots we had of that group of favourites who are chasing Bob Jungels here. Looked like, it was totally unorganised, everybody looking at each other, and we did see Dan Martin once again putting in the attack. And the question is there a team? We can see, there is somebody here from Astana who is going to push on here, and that's what's needed for the favourites here, because if they continued on for another number of kilometres, the advantage would go no way, only upwards.
Only 2 seconds below 40. 38 for Bob Jungels as he's approaching the outskirts of Liège now. Rider at the front is Davide Villela. It's in his first year at Astana. He's the man who's sacrificing his own chances here to try and bring Jakob Fuglsang back into the game. He knows, I think, that by doing so he's bringing everyone else back into the game, but it's the only chance that Astana have.
Yes, well, I think you have to sacrifice a rider because he's getting out of reach, the victory here. And if you have a team with two riders, certainly you have to sacrifice one and try and limit the gap. Certainly, maybe not close it down all the way, but then your protected man has to do it on the next climb of Côte de Saint-Nicolas.
Inside the final 10 kilometres now. Saint-Nicolas comes in just a few kilometres time. Tops out with 5.5 to go. What's to come? Well, Côte de Saint-Nicolas, finest climb, 1.2 kilometres at 8.6%. First kilometre is at almost 10%. There is Bob Jungels. This year, only real result was a podium place at the Drôme Classique. But he's worked a lot for sprinters. He's done a lot of riding. He's worked on his condition. He's been part of plenty of victory sprint trains. He's fully committed to this idea of the wolf pack that they've all managed to pull together. 26 wins this year. By the way, he told a French magazine at the start of the year that his ideal weight for stage races is 69 kilos. He's a big, tall, strong lad. You mentioned about how good he was in time trialling as a rouleur. We're seeing that now as we see the Standard Liège football ground, one of the biggest in Belgium, the Stade Maurice Dufresne. Race going right past it across the river, and you can see the industrial heritage of Liège behind as well. Off from the old Liège to the new. Finish in Anse, it's going to be its last year. Bob Jungels at the minute is looking like not a bad bet to get there. 44 seconds. Sean, despite Astana committing the one man, it's still one man against one man. And at the moment, Bob Jungels is winning as we've got a problem. We've got a problem for Dan Martin, I think.
Yes, a problem for Dan, and not the time at all to have a problem, because the way it's racing here in the very final with the climb coming up, Côte de Saint-Nicolas, sorry. It's a disaster here for Dan to have to, to get back in here is going to be very difficult. And if he does get back in, the effort he has to make, he's going to pay for that in the very final. But we can see there, Astana is still continuing on with David Villela, really pushing on. But Jungels, of course, the pure time trialists were at big roller, still 46 seconds. We did see a moment ago on the downhill there, the rate he was going, came into a corner, he almost, catching up with the car of the race director, he was going at such a rate.
45 seconds is his lead. Now, this is his third year now at Quick-Step. Moved over from Trek Factory Racing after his first 3 seasons as a professional. He turned pro while he was still a teenager. He's a very intelligent, young man as well off the bike. He's interested in lots of different business interests. Sean, he speaks more languages than you and I put together. Comes from Luxembourg, of course, that great multilingual country. Not too far from here. It's almost a home race for him, Bob Youngles. 7.2 kilometres from the finish. And he's not too far now from the start of Saint-Nicolas. How does he go here? Where does he go? 46 seconds. At the minute, he's showing no let-up.
And of course he's in the sector here where it's, you know, a little bit of false flat, not majorly steep. That's where he is, you know, really powerful. He can just continue on, turn that big gear there, and we can see looking impressive. But when we get onto the, you know, the real section of the Saint-Nicolas where it kicks up, you know, 8.6% they're talking about. It's a bit more than that in places. That's where the, you know, the test of strength will come, but looking real good for him at the moment. Still 48 seconds on advantage.
Well, his father Henri will be looking on, his mother Ginette as well. They've supported him since he was a young boy, since he was a teenager.
Probably all here.
It's only half an hour away, isn't it? Luxembourg, just up the road. 50 seconds now, and it's growing. He's on the foot of the climb, and Bob Youngles is riding away to history. There the Italian flags as promised. It's a tailwind on the climb as well. And that should help him.
Yes, and the motorbike helping a little bit as well. Something that we've been hearing a lot about in the last number.
Which his boss has been complaining about it, hasn't it, Patrick Lefevre?
Yes. So, yeah, but that is, when you're out in front, you're going to get the photographers. That's allowed, and sometimes maybe the motorbikes just stay that little bit too long in front of the rider. But I don't think Patrick Lefevre will be giving out this evening if it does work out for Youngles. And certainly the rider, when you're out there in front and you're giving it 100% at this point in the race, you know, you're going to take any little bit of an advantage, any little bit of help at all from anything in front of you on the road.
Well, Davide Vilella's doing a great job here for Astana, but he needs help. Is anybody going to connect with him? Valverde can see it going between him, and there is Wellens on the left-hand side. Vilella is finished. It's down to the leaders themselves to chase this down if they want to bring him back, but there's only 6 kilometres left now. This is Tim Wellens on the rivet, on the limit. Alaphilippe is just going to wait and chase. He'll be being screamed at, do not do any work, just follow.
Yes, well, that's what he's going to do. We can see he's looking around here, and you know, it depends now who has got the real power here, who can put in a big attack, and if there's somebody really strong, possibly close it down. But 44 seconds, it's, yeah, a big advantage.
Well, Wellens has tried, Haig has tried. This is Van Endert now who's going to go. Jelle Van Endert attacking, and wow, he's the man who's making the difference. This time even Alaphilippe can't follow. Jelle Van Endert in the form of his life. He's been twice on the podium previously in Amstel Gold Race. He was up there on the podium in Flèche Wallonne on Wednesday. The gap's come down to 38 seconds. Jelle Van Endert is really making inroads.
Yes, well, he is pushing on here, and we can see here, you know, the Astana rider as, you know, just continuing on, Fuglsang setting the pace on the front, but we can see he's starting to look around now, and this is where Jelle Van Endert is going to push on, and he has shown that he's coming into the form just at the right time. The last number of races, Jelle Van Endert in excellent shape.
What about this man? What about Bob Youngles? The gap's come down to 28 seconds, Sean. He's not yet to the top of Saint-Nicolas, and we've got the climb to all still to go.
Yes, well, this is the big test for Bob Youngles. He's been out there, and you know, he's been putting in that big effort for many kilometres, and it's difficult when you have to do that, and you come onto a climb like Saint-Nicolas. It's very difficult to keep it going unless you're on a real super day, and we can see advantage coming down. But 26 seconds, will Jelle Van Endert be able to keep it going? Because when you attack out of the group like that, you can, you know, go very fast for a short time, but will he be able to continue it?
Valverde's lost the wheel. Valverde is having to close the gap to Romain Bardet as it's Pozzo Vivo now at the front doing the work to bring back Van Endert. 25 seconds in the meantime from Youngles to Van Endert. He can see the top of the climb just ahead of him. Now what can he do here? Looks behind. Has he saved anything for the end? Has he been able to do? You think at this point, again from sitting from my very much layperson's position from this side of the commentary box, it's difficult to save anything here. You're giving it your all, aren't you?
Yes, everybody's giving it their 100% here, and it's all about how much you have left, how how well you're feeling, and that little bit extra, it means so much in this final. And we can see here Jungels is, he's losing time, but still has that 20 seconds. If he can get over the top and onto the flatter section, that's where he'll be very efficient. That's when he can push on majorly. But yes, Jelle van den Dert is pushing on big time and look like he's closing down gradually on the leader out front.
Oh, the look behind. I think this is Formolo now for Bora Hansgrohe at the front. So Bob Jungels, what does he have left in the locker? Less than 5 kilometers to the finish line in Ons. His lead 19 seconds over Jelle van den Dert. He still has a teammate behind. It still could be a very good day for Quick-Step, as Alaphilippe has hardly had to do any work for the last 15 to 20 Ks. He's still got that earpiece in. He's still listening to whatever Davide Bramati is screaming at him on the radio, and knowing Bramati, he will be screaming it. This is Wellens in the meantime. He's been dropped. He is out the game. Don't take any notice of that graphic on the bottom left-hand side. This is Wellens behind the main group. Look at all the effort put in. He's got salt all over his shorts. This is Fernanda in the chase. Well, 4.3 kilometers still to go in La Doyenne. As Alejandro Valverde, now, has he shown any weakness here? Because he's had to close the gap a few times. No, he's been winding it up. Valverde on the left-hand side of strikes hard because he knows that Alaphilippe is going out in the chase in front. Alaphilippe is trying to ride up to Van den Dert, and on his wheel, number 93 from Bora Hansgrohe, Davide Formolo. Jungels still with 19 seconds on Van den Dert, grows it to 20. Van den Dert still look fairly calm, still look very strong indeed. Whatever happens here, Van den Dert is showing form we've not seen from him before. 33 years of age.
Yes, well, he is showing excellent form, and he has been showing it in the last number of races, and that's always a great pointer. But we're into the section now where I think our leader Bob Jungels is the strongest one. He's the better time trialist, but it's all about the energy levels in this final 3 kilometers.
1 minute 26 behind for the Thomas Kwiatkowski-Nibali group. Forget about then. So into the final 3 kilometers of Liege Bastogne Liege. And Bob Jungels motoring those bikes across the cobbled streets. The terrace houses here. You could only be in Belgium looking at this street. The outskirts of Liège, and it is a Belgian team being chased by another Belgian team. 26 seconds and Fernanda is losing it again. He's losing time. Counter-attacks from behind. This is Bardet. Bardet being followed by Mike Woods, by the way. Valverde can't even chase now. Neither can Alaphilippe, interestingly enough. He looks around, shakes his head. Does that tell us something about the state of Valverde and Alaphilippe, or are they hoping for others to do the work for them?
Yes, well, we have seen Valverde. He looked like that he was in a little bit of difficulty, not as good as he would like to be, or we were expecting him to be. And I think when you're feeling that way, well, then you wait a bit, you leave it to the others to do the chasing. And we can see Bardet seeing the opportunity, going in the attack. That's what you've got to do. A rider like Bardet, he has to try and get out of this group, because he's not going to be able to really put up a good performance in the sprint if he stays with Valverde Alaphilippe.
31 seconds now. Bob Jungels, bar a disaster, bar any sort of problem, is looking really good here. He's been one of the unsung heroes all year. He's been riding in the sprint train. He's been preparing for the stage races. We knew he'd be a big part in the Ardennes Classic team, but he wasn't marked out as one of the main protected riders. He wasn't as Gilbert, he wasn't an Alaphilippe. When he attacked, he went off the front. Everybody looked around, and once again, we talked about the hesitation in the Classics this year. It's going to prove to be their undoing. 32 seconds, 34, it's growing for Jungels. He's almost got this in the bag now.
Yes, well, I think it looks like he's going to go all the way and take this victory, because he is on the the final run in here. It is not as difficult, not anything like we had on the Côte de Saint-Nicolas, where he did lose a little bit of ground to Jelle van den Dert. Here it's a more powerful man's run into the finish, and it looks like that he is still really strong. And Van den Dert, I don't think he's going to be able to close it in this final 1.2 kilometers.
Approaching the final kilometre for Quick-Step again. Is it going to be win number 27 of the season for the dominant team in professional cycling at the moment? Bob Jungels about to go under the Flamme Rouge as the road kicks up. It's the final finish in Ons, and it looks as though we're going to have a new winner. He has more than half a minute on the chaser, Jelle Fernandez, and Fernandez looks like he might be running out of a little gas himself. He in turn is being chased by Mike Woods and Romain Bardet. And I think further behind, Eddy Merckx can sleep safely tonight because Alejandro Valverde will not be equaling his record today. There will be no fifth win for the Green Bullet, and there he is wearing number 1 on his back. Alaphilippe isn't going to be the first French winner in 38 years. Bob Jungels is looking good. He just has to keep it going. It's been a good ride, and it augurs well for the Giro d'Italia, by the way, for Tom Dumoulin behind as well. He's shown some good form. And Romain Bardet in one-day races this year, hat off to him. Second at Tiche-Benoît, of course, in Strade Bianche. Talking of the Giro, Mike Woods and EF Drapac also looking very good as well. This is 3rd and 4th position on the road, respectively, as we see it. The Frenchman Bardet in the blue, white and brown, and the Canadian Mike Woods in the pink and white. Behind they're chasing, there's Pozzo Vivo as well. Jack Hay doing a good job for Roman Kreuziger. Enrico Gasparotto still in this group too, and he's had a really good ride for Bahrain Merida again. Full Sainz there. Sergio Lisa now is the Sky Man, but up the front it's Bob Jungels, who we think is still riding away with this race. We hadn't seen him for a while, but here he is. Grinds, grits his teeth. He's almost smiling as he climbs up here though now. He looks behind the champion of Luxembourg. He's going to swing left in a minute, and I think he's going to become a winner of the oldest classic in the book. Bob Jungels, 6 hours, 24 minutes into his ride, and he's time to enjoy it. Listen to this. Oh, you can't even see him behind. This is going to be Bob Jungels' crowning glory. A final ride for the final 250 metres. Andy Schleck, the last Luxembourger to win. 9 years have passed since then. He zips up his jersey, thanks his team. Bob Jungels has promised much in the last few years. This is his arrival on the big stage. Bob Jungels, winner of Liege Bastogne Liege 2018. And Quick-Step have, yes, 27 victories this season. Behind the fight for the podium is fierce and intense. It's not going to be Valverde this year. It's going to be between Bardet and Woods for second place. Romain Bardet, who has always scored well in this race. You can see Pozzo Vivo behind as well. Alaphilippe, who's ridden a patient race, maybe frustrating personally, but it's going to be celebration at the dinner table tonight. He's trying to get on the podium as well. I'm not sure he can catch Bardet. He can't. It's going to be second to Woods, third to Bardet. Celebration for Alaphilippe, who's fourth. His mate wins it. And the Wolfpack will be crying again tonight. It took a long way to get going. Valverde crosses the line last in that group. No number 5 for him, but a 5-star performance from Bob Jungels. The Luxembourger has arrived on the big stage. It's a huge win for him. And my oh my, Quick-Step have only gone and done it again.
Yes, what a ride by Bob Jungels there, you know, to take it up, and such a powerful ride. And we know he's a rider capable of doing real strong performances, but at the end of, you know, a 260 kilometre race, well, it's always difficult with this terrain for a rider like that. But he's proved that, you know, he has that power. He's able to get up those climbs, and, you know, a super strong performance from Jungels, and another step forward for him.
Bob Jungels across the line, and in the end it was quite comfortable, wasn't it, in the last couple of kilometres?
Yes, well, we did see Jelle van den Dert, you know, he put in a great move, and you know, attacked at the right time on the Saint-Nicolas. Looked impressive when he went to the attack, but to keep it going is the difficult one in the end of a race like this. You know, you can put in the attack, you can keep it going for 5 or 8 minutes, but then to keep on doing it, it's a big ask, and Van den Dert paid the price. We could see he struggled on the final run up to the line, but yes, Jungels just an excellent performance, a powerful performance, and something that he's done before, but this is another step forward for him, and we can see the emotions here at the finish for him. It's an amazing ride.
An amazing ride, an amazing season for Quick-Step Floors. We might be droning on about it, but we have reason to. Bob Jungels, 37 seconds ahead of Mike Woods, who puts in a wonderful performance to finish in second place. Romain Bardet finishes in third. It's fourth for Alaphilippe, 1 and 4 for Quick-Step, with Bahrain Merida finishing with fifth and sixth with Pozzo Vivo and Gasparotto. Headline news is that Jungels wins. We're back to cross the T's and dot the I's straight after this.
But what an amazing...
The end of a day that we waited for a lot, and when that attack came, this is the man who won, Bob Jungels.
Attack on the La Rochefoucauld. Do you believe all the day that you can win?
No, I mean, to be honest, I didn't believe it until I saw nobody here just on the line. I was feeling really good all day long, but yeah, I mean, after Wednesday for sure, we had Julien as a clear leader, and yeah, at some point I just I tried to go on Rochefoucauld and just to keep him in a good position, and yeah, finally nobody ever came back.
The third Luxembourger to win here after Andy Schleck. What's your feeling?
It's incredible. I mean, I was still yesterday evening. I was still watching together with Julien the 2011 edition when Philippe won with Andy and Frank when they attacked in the Rochefoucauld. Yeah, I just can't believe it. It's pretty unreal. I was waiting for such a big result now for a very long time, and I'm just so glad the teamwork and the hard work during all those years paid off.
Nice words from Bob Jungels talking about teamwork, and it sounds as though they're a very cohesive unit. I think if there were too many egos in that team, the way that they've approached races this year with multiple leaders, it simply wouldn't have worked. They must get on well together.
Yes, well, I think we've seen that over the last number of weeks and the last number of months, and not only of this year but in the past as well. They seem to, they gel so well together, and that is so important. But Jungels did say, a lot of work, and that's something I think the younger generation, they need to listen a little bit, and it's many years of hard work. It's not a year, it's not 18 months, it's many years of hard work, and that's what Bob Jungels said there. He's so happy after putting in so many years of work. He's a big result.
Yeah, Bob Jungels, the work started a long time ago. He was the world champion in the time trial as a junior in 2010. He won Paris-Roubaix under 23 in 2012. He turned pro the year after. GP Nobili was his first victory as a pro, and then he won in the Tour of Luxembourg. It's got better and better every year. Today, well, we had 9 riders away at the start. Gap of around 6.5 minutes was the biggest gap they had all day long. And for a while, it was a typical Liege Bastogne Liege of the last few years. Unfortunately, we had a couple of nasty incidents. Alberto Bettiol busting his knee open. Break was whittled down to 4 riders. Another problem, one for Dani Navarro as well. Again, a gash to the knee for the Spaniard. Fabien Grelier was the other rider caught up as Movistar then tried to turn on the pace. Jérôme Bonnier attacked from the breakaway. He wanted to be first over La Redoute. And Quick-Step started working. It was Emeric Mas for Julien Alaphilippe. Bonnier still alone. Another problem, this time Natnael Berhane coming off worse, and Larry Warbass also hitting the ground. Bahrain caught the breakaway as they went on to the next climb. Rochefoucauld, though, saw Bob Jungels go away from the front of the race, and then alone on the descent. Attempts to chase him did not particularly work out well. And there'll be plenty of attempts. Davide Villela riding for a long time for Astana before first Wellens and then Fernandez had a go. Alaphilippe going in chase of Fernandez. Romain Bardet and Mike Woods ahead of the main group at this time, with Valverde out of gaps. No fifth win for him, but a first huge win, a monument win at 25 years of age for Bob Jungels. Just the third Luxembourger to win this race in its history. Delight for Jungels. A win for Quick-Step, 27 for the season, and another monument to add to their collection over their 20 years of very, very decorated history. So after our quick hop to Croatia, this is the headline image of the day. Bob Jungels, victorious as Liege Bastogne Liege finishes in Ans for the final time. A look behind from Bardet, who couldn't hold on for second. That French win will have to wait at least until the 39th year after Bernard Hinault took the victory. A word for Mike Woods, who rode a really good race as well. He seems in fantastic form at the right time for the Giro d'Italia. Look forward to watching him and the rest in just less than 2 weeks' time. This is how it ended on the day then. Bob Jungels 37 seconds ahead of Woods and Bardet, who make up the podium, with Alaphilippe, Pozzovivo, Gasparotto, Formolo, Kreuziger, Eno and Vogelsang. So Bob Jungels the winner. How does that affect the UCI World Tour rankings as we look down at the city of Liège? And here it's been a very good spring for Peter Sagan. It's been a good year for Alejandro Valverde. Those two still dominate the top two positions. Niki Terpstra in third, Alaphilippe up to fourth now. Valgren in fifth, Van Avermaet, Benoot, Stuyven, Impey and Gilbert all making out the top 10 of the race. Of course, that's a race that ends right at the end of October. At the minute, Sagan leading the UCI World Tour.